things. And then you're going to go through the scrutiny of the prophets, and you'll be interviewed. I'll be talking with you. But that's at the final level. We only do those that make it. But what has to happen before this thing really takes off, you have got to be fully registered for the Prophetic Congress 1999, which includes your hotel room, all of your materials for the 1999 Prophetic Congress. The registration is $1,500, and we're believing for 2,000 people to be there. And we've got to do this for the turn of the century. Everyone that will register for the conference must stay in the hotel, because there's some midnight meetings. We don't need you to miss anything. It's going to be intense. We got the rooms already set up. I've walked through the rooms in the spirit. I've already been in the place. I've been at the conference. There's going to be some interesting people that's going to appear at this conference that I cannot tell you their names. Because you would say, Bishop Jordan, I think you're really losing it now. But there's going to be some interesting people that has already told me they will be there. And you're going to be shocked at who will appear. That Congress is not for looky-loos. Neither is it for religious groupies. That's why it's $1,500. Amen. And I'm not going to be training any crazies. Because see, when you start saying prophecy, you get a lot of flakes. You get nuts. You have them, So this helped weed it out. Because you have to have $1,500 before I take you into further truth. You got to be registered by December 1st. Try to have your money in before December 1st. Then at December 1st, you will need to appear at the Seers Convocation. At the Seers Convocation will be a time where we will lay hands on you. Then we will take you into the next level of training. The next level of training will be totally esoteric, mystical, and introduce you to the whole mystical side of the prophet. I'm going to share with you dimensions that I have not been able to share out in public. The Lord has instructed me to come off the road. I've been locked up in my study. The last couple of churches I went out to preach in, I only went out to maybe about 4 or 5 churches this year. I didn't know what to preach, because I couldn't preach what I used to preach. And I couldn't preach the revelation that was in me because it wasn't time to release it. I'm going to release it to the 300. You're going to be the first partaker of these goods. You'll have an opportunity to measure it, not only measure it, but demonstrate it. There's realms in God that you have yet to taste and touch. And if you get in Him, you'll be Him, and you'll touch it and taste it. We had a miracle the other day where we were in a place, gave a man, I knew it was all singles. Yeah, we counted it out right there in front of us. It was all singles. And went back to him. He called us back. Can you imagine this? Person in the store behind the counter. Hey, come back, come back. What's the problem? I had 2 of my adjutants was with me that day. He said, you gave me too much money. I said, I couldn't have. I said, maybe it was $1 off or so. And he spread it. In the middle of it was nothing but 10s and 5s. Now, I don't make mistakes. It must have been at least $200 in 10s and 5s. So I looked at him. I said, you know what? We have a little alchemy going on here. I just corrected. God has showed me that He's going to teach His people how to manifest what is not. and call those things which be not as though they were. There's a realm in God where you're going to move in. Then the prophets will be at that moment brought to a level of teaching and understanding. And there'll be a lot of materials. I'm not going to give the list of them now. Some of you will try to jump the gun. And there are some books that you'll have to get and materials that have gone out of print that you'll need to get a hold of. We're going to help you get a hold of it. And with this knowledge, you'll come to the next level, which will be a graduation to the third and final level. At that moment, you'll be robed. And God has showed me the prophet's robe. And at that point, you'll go into the final phase. Now, when I asked God, I said, now how will we graduate the final phase? He says, these are those that when they graduate, they will graduate by dropping this form. They'll be forever evolving until, like Enoch, they will walk with God until they're not. There's certain sciences I've got to take you to in that next realm, in that final realm. That we're going to give you all of the different sciences of prediction. Daniel had understanding of all sciences. That's why he was in the king's court. That's why you're not, because you don't know the science. We just recently went to the United Nations. We were invited there by the king for a special delegation just a couple of weeks ago. He was doing a reception. We couldn't get our schedules together. Some people thought that I was late. I didn't get there until about 7:45. He got there at 7:30. The reception started at 7. It was supposed to have gone from 7 until 9. Because he's supposed to be there with his guests. I walked in the door. Our eyes met. As soon as our eyes met, he had his man make the announcement. The king is retiring for the evening. Never had the receiving line, never got to greet his guests. And the whole Secret Service wished him out, took him out, and he said, "Follow me." Took us to his hotel room, his suite, where we had time to minister prophetically and just prophesy the word of the Lord. When you come into the order that God is going to bring you to, wise men and leaders will seek you out. At this final level, at the final level of the prophetic, at worst, that's why I said at worst you'll be rich. At worst, you'll have a line around the block. Some of you will leave your professions. A line around the block doing consultation and pulling people out of psychiatric wards and pointing them in their destiny and telling them where they miss God and where they need to walk on the right road. At worst, you will be rich. Even though that's not the purpose. So, this is not for everyone, but it's for the elect. And God told me there'll be 300 that we will raise up and teach. Amen. I'll be letting you know more about that as the days go on. Okay, so you can get those applications. So go in the back here and get the books, pick up your tapes, and we'll meet back in 20 minutes.